Okay, I also want to show you guys some tips I learned while I was teaching first grade for what to do when you sit down and have a child read a book to you and how to make that book more accessible to them. So I'm going to show you how to do this with this phonics reader that I showed you earlier, Ted and Friends. So when you sit down with the book, you want to tell them the title and you want to have gone through the story ahead of time and figured out what might be the hard words or the hard things they're going to run into in that story. So we're first going to say, okay, today we're going to read Fox on a Box. First, let's just look through the story. Let's flip through the pictures and see if we can just kind of get an idea of what's happening in this story. How cute are these pictures, right? Okay, so you'll flip through the story, then you're going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to say, okay, you're going to see this word hungry a lot in this story because he's called Hungry Fox. The reason I'm picking out that word is because in this phonics reader, hungry is probably not a word they're going to automatically recognize, and it's going to be one they may have difficulty sounding out. So I want to prepare them ahead of time for that word so that they can be successful in the story every time they see Hungry Fox. So we'll practice that word a couple times before we read the story. And then the next thing I'm going to tell them before we actually start reading is I'm going to tell them the strategy that we are going to work on as we are reading. So, for example, one of the strategies that I usually teach at the beginning is if you don't know a word, look at the first letter in that word, make that sound, and then look at the picture for clues to see if that can help you figure out the word. So, for example, Hungry Fox hops onto the box. He tries to, let's say they don't know this word, reach. So the first letter is R. R starts with So we're going to say, he tries to and look at the picture and see if we can figure out what he's doing. Well, it looks like he tries to reach. So that's one way you can help them figure out words. Another thing you can do to help them figure out a word is called chunking. This is another strategy that I introduce. When kids are first learning to read and sound out words, they can usually sound out 3 to 4 letters at a time, and after that the sounds get kind of jumbled. So if they're trying to sound out this word hungry and they're going e, they might forget the sounds that came at the beginning of the word and have difficulty putting those sounds together. So what I like to teach them to do is chunk. So when you chunk a word, you cover up everything but the first 3 letters, or 4 letters if the first 4 letters make 3 sounds. So we're just going to sound out first the hun. Then we're just going to add one more letter. So hung, add one more letter. Hunger, add the last letter. Hungry. So when you break it down that way, it makes it easier for them to hear the sounds, to put the sounds together, and to figure out the word. So those are 2 strategies I use a lot when they're first learning. Look at the first letter, make the sound, and look at the picture to help you figure it out. Chunk it, or sometimes just say blank and see if you can figure out what makes sense. So let's say they don't know this word pushes. So Hungry Fox blank the box. Again, you're going to use that first letter and sound. Hungry Fox, p. What does it look like he might be doing to the box that starts with p? Hungry Fox pushes the box. So those are some strategies I use when I am first teaching kids to learn to read. Those strategies are great to use in these phonics stories or in any other stories. And like we talked about before the party, wait time is really important. Don't correct them right away. Give them a minute to see if they can correct themselves or if they can think of a strategy to figure out that word by themselves. That will really help them with their confidence and help them as they develop as a reader.